All right, we are back for another game cast. I am one of your hosts, Kenny, and with me is my co-host Teresa, aka Tess. And today we have a special guest. Uh, how do you pronounce your name again?
Keriene, but I go by K.
K is awesome. I did. I was gonna say it, and I was like, I don't want to mess up. It's
It's
recording.
all right. It's all right. No worries. K is good.
Kay is
So,
awesome. She's my friend. We've been friends since we were 11 years old. She's a
Oh my God.
fellow blurred, just like me and Kenny. We actually all went to the same college, so it's nice to reunite back on
yes.
the podcast.
OMG. 11 years old, dude. My God.
Yeah, and we're only 21, so I mean, it's been so long. 10 years. I'm gonna make a point for everybody to know it's been 10 years. Just that.
Mm,
Only.
Right.
Yeah.
Just 10.
mm,
For
That's it.
21.
okay.
21. Yeah.
So, so this week, we're gonna be talking about favorite firsts, and dealing with anime and shows and stuff of that nature. Mostly anime, um, and we wanted to. We're gonna speed through a little bit in terms of like how our week went and stuff like that, just because Kay has to go a little early, and then me and Teresa will go ahead and finish the cast. Um, with that being said, yeah, our favorite first in this sense is like the first episode of a show that really made us want to watch the rest of the show, even if it turned out to be trash afterwards. Game of Thrones.
Oh no.
So, um, yeah, so like we thought it would be cool to talk about it, and this is something that Teresa actually brought up last week when we were had our other special guest on X20, and just first, um, in the sense that what you saw, your first impression was powerful enough to keep you going or to keep you watching. And so, yeah, we wanted to go ahead and chat about that. And since Kay is, like she said, is also a nerd like us,
Yes.
we thought it'd be dope for her to come over, especially with being a VCU graduate. Um, that's awesome. What
Thank
department
you.
did you graduate from?
I was an art kid.
Me too.
Yeah, I did. I was a double major back when they allowed you to do that, and they discontinued it, to my knowledge, because it's an awful idea to
It
be a
it
double
is.
major. Um, but no, it totally is. And what sucks is that I got like half of an education for two majors and not a complete education to do anything outside of college. So but whatever, that's neither here nor there. Hashtag money wasted. Um, but what was the question?
Oh, just I was saying what what department did you graduate from? Like for me,
Yes.
I graduated from the painting and printmaking, so I have a bachelor's in fine arts.
Yeah, yeah. Yep, that mine was fine arts. Right? Forgot. I was illustration and then kinetic imagery,
Right. Okay. Awesome.
which absolutely nothing right now.
It just means you could have been an animator, maybe. Maybe.
Oh, hell no. Hell no. Do you? Hell no. No, because I got into college wanting to be an animator, and ugh, the amount of work that goes into that shit. No. Can we curse? Are you guys good with cursing on your podcast? Is that
Y-
okay?
Yes,
Totally.
as long as it's not
Okay.
every other word, you're great.
Okay. Every other one.
Just make it every other word, and you'll fit right in.
Facts.
Okay. Facts. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
gonna go into VCU's craziness. But yeah, I totally understand. That's another conversation. But yeah, going back to first, one of my first is Cowboy Bebop. The first episode of Cowboy Bebop is amazing in the sense that you get to learn about these characters. In just this one episode, Spike and his. Oh, my mic is off.
Yeah, it's a little fuzzy. It's
It
a
Oh,
little.
is
fuzzy.
low. a little fuzzy. I thought it was my phone.
Okay, well, Teresa, you
Technology.
give your first, and I will try to
Sure.
fix my mic.
Well, I'm gonna actually let Keriene go into one of her favorite firsts.
Oh
We
dear.
definitely talk. Oh, you said, "Oh geez."
No, I said, oh dear.
Oh
So I'm like,
dear. I'm just
sure. Well,
wondering.
little. Let's do one of my first. What's one of my firsts? I don't know.
I
Let's
mean, I want me to like just
Okay,
go.
okay. My for real first anime that I ever saw, I want to say was called the title was, I'm sure it was Belle and Sebastian. That had to have been the first anime I ever saw. And nobody remembers this cartoon, but it's when I was in elementary school. Fantastic story of a little orphan kid and his giant white dog that he would ride like a horse.
Hmm.
Um, and he would travel from town to town searching for his mom who left him on a train or something, or like he last saw her leaving on a train. I don't know, whatever. But that's like, that'll be in my mind and my heart forever. That's the first anime I ever saw.
It sounds so sad, and it's probably why you're so dark inside.
Oh my god,
Oh
yeah.
God.
It's the anime's fault.
Childhood is a very special time. It's like it really seems like that one. Just like it's like there's a hole right here.
It was a really sad show. Oh.
It's like the opposite of Lassie, like just terrible.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Belle and Sebastian. I guess that's going on our list now.
I'm gonna have to look that up. It reminds me of, I'm looking at some pictures here. It's like a really, really odd Tintin.
Mm.
Yeah, it was great. I remember loving that show. I didn't know it was anime at the time till like I'm adult, and I'm like, wait, that was definitely anime.
Yeah, because they never told us anything when we were kids. If they had just left stuff and subtitled it, we'd all be speaking Japanese now. They wanted to dub everything and make it American. So
Well, I
unfortunate.
mean, it makes sense because I don't think people were ready to read like that, like for the kids and whatnot.
Oh, you never know. You never know until you try. We were
True.
smart. We're the smart generation. Just kidding.
Oh my
We're only
gosh.
21.
Why does your age keep going up though?
What else? What else did you really enjoy? What was one of your other favorite first?
Um. Oh, it wasn't. I guess Tranzor Z.
What?
Awesome. Freaking awesome.
Yeah, yeah. That was one of my favorites, and my brother got me onto that one. But that one it's another old school one with the gigantic fighting robots.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Quite good.
was it a little boy that controlled it? It's
Uh,
been so long.
I believe so. Like his family was, it was, I want to say it was his family, and he like got a hold of it at a younger age and was able to control it. But yeah, awesome show. Like this, great.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
That sounds.
Man, that was a minute ago.
Yeah. I know my first like Space Odyssey anime. It wasn't Gundam. It
Harlock?
was, say again?
Harlock?
No. Um. Oh man. Oh fudge! I can't remember. I'm gonna have to come back to it. I thought I could. I could
We'll
come
come
fast.
back to it.
Yeah, we'll come back to it. My first Hayao Miyazaki, if I'm pronouncing that
Yes.
correctly.
Yeah.
Princess Mononoke blew me away.
It was
Nice.
amazing.
Oh my god. I mean, I was and I can't even say enough good things about it, and
Yeah.
just how the spirits of the forest were were actual like living breathing things, and how they're being affected by what humans do, and how you can totally bring that into the real world kind of a thing. And I just loved it.
We watched
Loved
it together. We watched it in college together. I think you were the one who told me to watch it.
I know my memory. I
I
don't
know.
remember.
I know. One thing that I think we both loved, I remember us both talking about it. We were like, "Oh my god, oh my god," because there would be things in regular life, like me, and as we got older. We're only 21, but still, like as we got older, we would see things in the real world and be like, "Doesn't that remind you of the little spirits from Princess Mononoke?" And I was like, "Oh my god, yes!" And then we played that little game on our phones, Spirits. Remember that game, Spirits? Like on okay.
Oh God.
Yeah, and it reminded us of that. And yeah, Mononoke Hime.
Spirits.
Yeah,
Oh, that I like. I'm trying to dredge up that memory, and I just can't.
don't.
Spirits game.
It's just a game on the phone. But but no, that feeling that Mononoke Hime kind of gave. I remember watching that, and I watched it so many times, and I remember the voice actors were famous. Like I think for because I watched it in English first, and then it was like Billy Crudup and a bunch of other people who were the voices, and I just there was just this feeling that I got watching that movie. It was so good and so well done. I think it
Yeah.
was the first Miyazaki movie. At least it was the first Miyazaki movie that I realized was Miyazaki because we just be watching stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Know what we were watching at the time. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. That was awesome. I don't remember a lot though, except what really stuck to me was the spirits and the fact that Mononoke Hime wore that wolf thing and that she wouldn't leave the forest.
Yeah.
Don't know why. She never became
Oh,
hungry.
weren't the wolves like her
Her
mom
family.
and dad or her brother? Her family, something like that.
Yeah, they were a family, and I just remember there was a phrase in the movie where I think the guy said, "I'll do it when Princess Mononoke becomes human again," something like that.
Oh, I don't remember all that.
We got to rewatch it.
We do.
We'll have a viewing party once Rona is over.
Yeah. So sad. So sad.
Um,
I'm gonna have to text my brother because he has a much better memory and he'll remember that robot show we used to watch.
well,
Was
we're gonna
it
have to have
the
him on one of these days.
was the one you couldn't remember? Was that Star Avengers?
No,
Because that one was awesome too.
no, I haven't seen that one.
That one was dope because it was three different pilots and they specialized in different things with their ships, and when they came together, kind of like Voltron, depending on which one was on, I guess like the chess piece, they would control it and it would have different abilities based on that. So there was one that would be more like in the water, one would be in the sky, and then one was on land,
Mhm.
and they would turn into jets and then like remerge into a different version of the robot each time.
Mm,
Hmm. It sounds
yeah,
pretty cool.
that one. Yeah, it does sound pretty cool. We'll put that on our list.
That
Um,
one's great.
I think we all agree, the three of us all agree that the first episode of Attack on Titan was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we pretty much all agree on how. But since Keriene does have to bump out soon, I think we can just jump into that and talk about how 25 minutes changed our lives forever. I mean, there was just so many emotions, but like the fact that the first title, the title of the show, of that episode, the first episode is "To You in 2,000 Years: The Fall of Shinganshina, Part One." That's the title. And when I watched it, and I've watched it over so many times, and I'm like, they could have just called this
Robotech.
like, okay, wow, Robotech. Okay, yes, we've all watched Robotech. What's wrong with you? Watch Robotech.
Oh my god. Okay. That's what it was. Continue.
I'm so mad at you right now. Like, what is the name of this show? Robotech. That's hilarious. We can get Joanne on that conversation, Kenny.
I think she was more of a Gundam.
No, yeah, we watched Gundam, but she watched Robotech too. She was the one who told me that I watched Robotech. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. She was like, yes, you did. We watched it when we were kids at my house. I said, sure, whatever, if you say so.
Man, Robotech was good too. Those they had the robots that transformed, right?
Sure.
Yes.
Nice. Anything Transformers, that was yeah, I'm watching it.
You know, we love Transformers. Anyway, all right. So back to Attack on Titan, AOT. Shingeki no Kyojin. Anyway, I was just thinking that it could have been called anything like Trapped Inside a Cage because they kept calling it that, like Cage Spotter or something. They kept saying that over and over again through that one episode. But to deeply analyze that episode, I just feel like there were so many moments that were well paced. And to me, it was almost as if you could see how much work really does go into a show in that episode. I feel like the first 17 minutes of that show were not necessarily meaningless, but nothing happened. Nothing monumental happened. Yeah, the scouts came back from, their frolicking outside of the wall and getting killed and stuff. And they come back and half of them are dead. And, some other people ran around and tried to bully Mikasa and Eren and Armin and all that kind of stuff. But nothing really moves your body and makes you want to be in that episode and dedicate your life to the rest of the season, except from minute 17 to minute 25. It is literally 8 minutes of that show. Only 8 minutes of that show that has your jaw to the floor.
Yes.
But I think it needed that though, because you get kind of, even though there's nothing important going on, it's kind of you're starting to get familiar with people because the last few minutes hit really hard because we're getting familiar with who they are.
Exactly.
Yeah, they give you a good history to let you know what's going on, and how the animation is just off the wall. If I'm being honest, the animation that kept me there, because I might have bowed out if it was just the history portion and not waited for the last portion of the show. The animation was just so beautiful.
I agree with you because you were the one who told me to watch it. You're like, hey, have you watched Attack on Titan? And I was like, no, I haven't. I heard it's good. But I was also in this little segment of life where I wasn't watching anime really because it takes a lot of energy. I got to sit there, I got to read. And then I need somebody to talk about it with because you can't just unpack it like regular TV shows.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay. And then I was working at a job I hated at the time. And so me spending time on the anime was like going to keep me up late. I already wasn't sleeping well. And I watched that. And I'm telling you, I was watching the episode and I'm like, this is boring, but everybody says it's great. Okay. I'm dedicated. I'm going to get to it. And as soon as minute 17 hits, it's like you had Armin. If anybody doesn't know that this is a spoiler cast, we said this last week, just by the way, anybody listening, last week we mentioned that we were going to do some spoilers. If you haven't seen the first episode of Attack on Titan, you live under a rock. It's Corona time. You have time to watch it. It's on Hulu. No excuses. We're spoiling it. Get over it. And that's how 21-year-olds act. Anyway, so...
Oh, my God.
Okay, Armin is, this is how I'm trying to set this up, but you guys saw it. Armin and Mikasa and Eren are sitting down, chilling, because Armin just almost got his ass whooped. And, Mikasa and Eren showed up to save him, and they're sitting there, and Armin's sitting there talking about, I can't help but feel like we're cattle in a cage. I can't help but feel like, I know that we've had 100 years of peace, but I can't help but think that that's going to end. How ominous this little, 12-year-old kid is just saying that out of nowhere. It's just a nice day. Where would he get this idea from? And seconds after he says that, this is how they set up the episode, seconds after he says that, the lightning strikes. We don't learn until later that when the lightning strikes, that means a Titan's coming. But their Titan appears right then, and it's like, wait a minute, what? And they did such a good job because they used the music. I feel like in that short time frame, they used choral music, like the choral churchy stuff, right?
And that always sends chills up your spine when they do that.
And the way they did it, it was almost like they used choral music when there was a will to fight, because when the Colossal Titan kicks in the gate and all that stuff happens, it was like, oh my God, people are running, people are going crazy, right? But then there was this will to fight, like when Hane shows up, there was this will. But as soon as the idea of getting defeated shows up, that's when the chorus stops, and then it's just classical music. And I thought that was so important, because if you know how the opening song to the show is that very like,
Oh, it's amazing.
it's very strong, because it's basically a ballad. It's basically like, I don't want to say a war ballad, but it's almost what do you call it? A national anthem for them.
It
That's
is. It
the
is.
national anthem.
It's like a call to arms.
It is.
National
It is.
kind of thing.
And then Aaron's last name is Jaeger, and like Jaeger translates to hunter for in German. And so it's like, okay, let's put all these little nuggets here. Let's create this perfect setup for an episode. And I just, every time I watch that episode, I just feel like there's so much applause needed, especially right at that point where like utter chaos happens. Hannes shows up. He shows up and he's obviously still drunk. Okay? Grown ass man who's been drinking all day is drunk. And then he's like, "Hey, I'm here. What you need? I'm good. I'm gonna rescue you guys. I'm gonna come fight. I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z. Da, 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 da." And quickly that changes. Like, Kenny, do you remember the look on his face?
Yeah, there was a whole lot of nope right there.
That's great.
Nope.
I'm gonna have to rewatch the first episode because the music change, I did not even notice that.
You're not.
But I feel like that.
That's the thing. You're not, when a show is done very well, you don't notice all those things. We talked about that last week when we had our music episode. Remember, Kenny, X20 said, like, playing FIFA, and he was like, this is stuff that you don't realize. If you don't even realize how the music is going, then they did a good job. And
yeah, it's supposed to be something that it's similar to when they foreshadow things.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting you ready to expect something, even though you don't really know what's about to happen. And I can kind of go into that a little bit deeper, but yeah, it's one of those things where like it switches and it's like it you actually do notice it, but not enough for you to put your finger on it. But something's not right in the scene, and so you feel similar to the characters while as you're watching it, and not like subconsciously.
Yep. I'm with you on that. I agree. That's exactly how you're supposed to feel.
I'm gonna have to rewatch that. I'm gonna do it tomorrow because I totally want to be on the same page with you. I'd love to be able to recognize that like you did.
Girl, yes. Homework assignment, right?
Yes.
It's like I was rewatching it today, and that was that music change. I realized it before because you know me, I like listening to classical music, but I always pay attention to the music in shows. But that's just kind of a weirdo. But like, it was so tragic, and it pulls at your heartstrings. Like remember what you were saying, Kenny, earlier about how they had to set it up to get to that point so that those last 8 minutes was powerful. It is because you actually feel just like the characters. You go in, it's not necessarily a lazy day, but it's every day. This is every day. Nobody was expecting the wall to get kicked in, and then except obviously the local psychic Armin, and everybody's just minding their business, and then next thing you know, fear kicks in. So it's like that music that puts that tickle down your spine, and then that stops, and that music that signifies dread shows up. And I think a great way to understand, or I guess maybe visualize to the people who haven't seen it, or maybe other people who are listening, when Hannes shows up, and like I said, you knew that he's been drinking all day. So it's like, okay, great. The person who drinks every day on the job is the guy who's supposed to save us from this crazy Titan. Like, are you still under the influence? But it's like he wants to prove that, oh, I can do this no matter what. And he runs up and, like he said, whole lot of no. He sobers up immediately. And that look on his face lasts for like 12 seconds. He just stands there in awe, like, I can't effing do this. And when he snatches those kids up and starts running, that's where all of us, there is nobody who can deny that they did not start moving on their seat. Like, stand either you stood up or you moved to the edge of your seat like, oh my God. The fact that he is running with those kids. Aaron is reaching out to his mother. His mother could not stop being a mother up until the last minute. She's yelling at him, why don't you ever listen to me? Go, live, get out of here. And then in the last moment, kind of like Jesus on the cross, Jesus is like, don't worry, everybody, this is part of the plan. And in the last minute, he's like, God, why have you forsaken me? And then he dies. I'm only using that as a likeness because it's like
Oh
she
my
was
God.
strong. She was so strong up until that moment where she realized she's never going to see her kids grow up. And then she covers her mouth and says under her breath, like, please don't go. Because she's that torn up inside. Of course, she wants to yell and say, please don't go. Save me. I'm about to get eaten. Save my life. I want to watch my kids grow up. But she can't. And so she covers her mouth so her son doesn't have any urge to kick himself free and run back and die with her.
Yeah.
And then this monster has the gall to pick her up out of the house that she's buried in. And that woman puts up a fight. It was just like, they put it in slow motion. They showed her beating the monster's hands with her arms like a child, like a fist, like, put me down, put me down. And then the monster breaks her back like she's a Barbie doll and bites her. I was floored because the music is going on in this point too, swelling until that monster bites her and it's like quiet. And then the blood is just flying through. It's like blood and embers flying through the air.
It's very, very gripping to see that kind of brutality.
Yeah.
Just instantly. And you're like, what am I watching?
Yes.
What world have I stepped into?
Yes.
But it just grabs you. Yeah.
One thing about this show, which is interesting to me, is something that The Walking Dead tries to do and that the comic is actually successful at doing, is painting a picture of dread where it's very heavy. It's not something where it's gory or it's negative for the sake of being negative or to exploit something. It's like this is the reality of the things that they're facing, and so in order to convey that, you have these sad moments with these characters. But even after that episode, it's like there's people who you think like this is the main character or this is the person who's going to survive, who's going to do whatever, and they die, and there's no like huge explosion. They don't go out swinging. It's like no, this person just got killed, and it's like, well, what just happened?
Yeah.
And I was telling a friend of mine who was watching it, I was like, that the first season is mad sad. Like you feel it's like a depressing vibe over it.
Yeah.
And even so though, there's hope because of the characters who struggle to become soldiers and struggle to to kind of fight back against the Titans. But at the same time, the oppressive nature of their presence is felt by the audience because of the way they do it. They could have just had the Titans show up, kill a bunch of people, they all run and hide, and they get away, and then that be that. And like, going forward, now we have to deal with the Titans. It was like, no, we're killing multiple people, characters who could be potentially main characters, or someone who like could push the story forward. Nope, we're killing all of them. Like,
Dead.
like
Yeah.
this is, and then even then, like a few episodes later, like Aaron uh nearly freaking dies. Like it's like nothing is you can't take any of the moments for granted
None.
or feel like you're safe and it's okay, like this is going to be a moment where I can just kind of breathe. It's like no, like the audience is living the way they're living because of
Yeah.
the way the treatment is. And I think that
Yeah.
was really that was done well because there's other anime that I've watched where it's, I guess, kind of sad, but it just feels like, okay, you just want to kill people for the sake of it, or you just want as much blood on the screen as possible.
Mhm.
It doesn't land the way this show does.
Right.
Very
Exactly.
true. Very true. I think that's why the first part of the first episode was so important. That was kind of on the slow side, so it could
Mhm.
establish that world and that universe that you're gonna see, and you're gonna see their world crash and crumble almost every time with every single Titan that crashes through their borders. So you really get involved with that whole world.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah.
Job well done, Attack on Titan staff.
Yes, except for season 3,
Yeah.
because
No. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, Attack on Titan, we've talked about it before. It has so many disappointments. The
Oh,
manga.
it does. Oh, the manga. I haven't read the manga yet.
I know. Since I'm ahead, obviously, in the manga, and I'm like, oh my god, there's so many disappointments. But Kenny and I have discussed this before, where the manga got really bad after like season 1 ends, and
Oh,
and honestly, season 2 in the show um, really does, it redeems the manga. It completely redeems it. So when completely, I guess so. Anyway, but yes. So, but yeah. Anyway, good job. First episode of Attack on Titan. You got us all hooked to the point where even when we think things are bad, because they are, we're still watching. Why? Because we need to know. We just need to know. So good job.
yes. Very well done show. Bravissimo.
Being Italian, that brings me to my next show. So Miss Carrie, sorry everybody. Keriene's nickname is Kay. I call her Katie sometimes. You don't need to know why. And, but we know that you're gonna have to dip out soon. Any last words?
I could stay.
Oh, 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 oh. We see how it is.
I mean, the weekend's coming up. I can sleep in.
Oh, it's your Friday. Is what you're saying? It's your Friday.
Yeah. What tomorrow? What tomorrow is Friday? So I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. Um, let's move. Let's move on into Kill La Kill. Is that okay?
Yeah, I don't
Well,
have anything to say about Kill la Kill though. So y'all go
before we
ahead.
go into that, I want to talk a little bit about Cowboy Bebop.
Oh
Because
yeah.
my mic fell apart apparently. Um, so no, not for real. Just like apparently the audio was messed up. So, um, but yeah, the first episode of Cowboy Bebop puts you into the world of the show essentially, which is what good episodes should do.
Yeah.
But in this sense, it's like there's a lot of stuff that happens in Cowboy Bebop that they don't explain. There isn't much exposition. It's just you're there,
Yeah.
and so you notice that certain characters are bounty hunters and they're going after a certain bounty. That's kind of what they tell you. But outside of that, you kind of get that there is this. They're in the future. People have spaceships, and at the same time, there's this idea that it's kind of like a Western or Wild Wild West type of
Mm-hmm.
theme, because the main bounty in the episode, goes to a bar and he's going to make a deal. He's selling this chemical that uh, is weaponized and make people go crazy. It's kind of like a weird kind of meth, I guess you could say, and
Yeah.
they get like super strong and like they kill everyone and whatnot. And so he stole a ton of it. And he's with his, I want to say his girlfriend. She's pretending to be pregnant. She has like a bunch of it, like in like a little pouch on her stomach. And
Her
they're trying
pregnant
to,
belly.
right. They're trying to get rid of it. And things go wrong. And so he uses some of it and he is killing most of the bandits in the bar, and there's bullets flying everywhere. Meanwhile, Spike, the main character, and his friend are hearing about the bounty, and they're looking to go hunt these people down. What's interesting about it is that in the episode, the fact that we don't know who these characters are, there's a lot that they do to kind of show us their nature in a way, and without just telling us or explaining. And they do it in such a way that it informs the rest of the season. So like with Spike, when he catches up to the couple, he notices the woman first, I want to say, and they have a conversation, and he notices the guy, but he acts like he doesn't know who he is. And he's talking with the woman, and he's like, so you think you're gonna escape? And she's like, what? What are you talking about? And he explains that, there's a huge bounty on your head, and he's trying to talk in a way that is like, I know what's going on to an extent, but I think you should X, Y, and Z, because he kind of knows what the outcome is going to be. He gets ambushed by her boyfriend and he gets knocked out. Before he gets knocked out, he plants like a tracer on them. And so, fast forward, they get to the bounty later on, and he intercepts them. He beats up the boyfriend or whatever. But all these other cops and bounty hunters show up, and they start shooting everywhere.
Mm.
And they they fly off in space, and Spike is like tailing them. But as this is happening, looking on his side of things, he wants
Mhm.
them to come in because he wants to keep them alive.
Right. That.
And the guy is like wigging out because he has this, this chemical in his body, and the girl realizes that they're not going to survive. It's just not going to happen,
It
and
was
so she ends up,
sad.
yeah, she kills him, and then Spike sees it. And he's like, like, oh God, like what happened? And then as they're flying by, there's a police blockade, and the cops shoot them, or shoot the couple or whatever, and so she dies, and so it hits Spike a lot, and he's even after that bounty and everything, they're going about their life. He's thinking about the couple. He's thinking about what happened and how he could have done something differently to
Right.
to save them. And so you get this depiction of Spike, like, yeah, I'm about money. I want to arrest you so I can get paid. Like, this is how I make my living. At the
Hmm.
same time, I'm concerned that what the predicament that you got yourself in.
Yeah.
And it says a lot about his character, especially later on. There's things that happen later in this series that kind of help to paint this picture, but you get an understanding of, even though he has this side of him where he's like, I'm all about money, he's a caring person.
Yeah.
And same thing with his partner, who is more of a gruff kind of I don't know. He reminds me of, like, I don't want to say Wolverine, but he's kind of like I don't really care what happens. I just want to get paid. And he
Right.
he
But
he
he's
puts
really
the
maternal.
exactly, he puts this facade on, but he ended up becoming like the dad of the group, if you
Hmm.
will. And so all of this happens in this first episode. Also, there's like really good fighting. So like when Spike gets ambushed the first time, you're like, oh, he's not that great in terms of like being a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
And kind of like a Trigon situation where like he seems kind of goofy, but when he starts fighting, he's beating the mess out of this dude. Mind you, he's hopped up on this medication, and so he's faster than the average person. He's stronger, and Spike is beating him like effortlessly. Um, and so like that also kind of tells you like, okay, he's skilled. He knows what he's doing. He's been doing this for however long, even though he's mad young.
Yeah.
There's so much information that they pumped into that episode without like sitting the audience down and being like, this is Spike, this is what he does for a living, et cetera, et cetera. They just kind of show you, and
Yep.
then that's it. Like, going forward, that's just how it is.
Hmm.
Whatever status quo that they've set up in the hierarchy or whatever is just who he is and what happens going forward. Now you learn about his past, obviously, and things of that nature, but for the most part, you just kind of accept this is how life is,
Hmm.
and it does a good job, because now looking at the episode is like, I know what I want, or not what I want, but I know what I'm getting into.
Yeah.
I know what's in store for me. Um, and even though this is a story or a series about bounty hunting, there's heart.
Hmm.
And I was like, it's really freaking good. Because because I think about, outside of like Attack on Titan and a few other, uh, we think of Attack on Titan because Attack on Titan is very much a narrative show, in the sense that you have to watch every episode.
Yes.
There's a beginning and there's an end. Whereas something like Cowboy Bebop, it's closer to something like One Piece or Dragon Ball, in the sense that these are just episodes, these are just things that happen during his life. There
Right.
is an overarching story for the most part, but outside of that, you can skip a bunch of episodes because it doesn't really matter. At the same time, they still take the time to inform their audience of what they're getting into. And I
Yeah.
was like, that's pretty awesome, because not many, not at least in my experience, not many shows do
Hmm.
that
Right.
isn't very narrative focused.
Right. The show is very it's episodic in nature, and there aren't that many animes like that because most of the anime that's based off of manga all has some sort of continual canon. Like
Right.
everything is it's all in order, it has to go together. So you don't have as many that are just episodic. And this was one of them, and it was done so well. There was different music that went to every episode, and just in this first episode, it was kind of like a, I don't want to say a shock, but you see this first episode and you're like, ooh, I haven't seen anything like this in Ohio. You know, it
Yeah,
was kind of fresh in whatever year it was, 1990 something. So I'm with you on that one. The only other
yeah,
show that I compare, um, not I shouldn't say compare, but that is that same setup is Mushishi. If you've seen
yeah,
Mushishi,
yeah,
and which I loved to pieces. And again, there's a backstory that you know nothing about, especially the first episode, you're confused. So even in watching Cowboy Bebop, there's a bit of confusion, but it had all of the elements of entertainment. So you'd want to keep watching. And Mushishi was the exact same thing. I tried to get a friend into Mushishi. I was like, okay, you know, here's an entry level anime. You'll find this interesting. And he came back to me and said, I don't know how I feel about some little boy living alone in a house in the woods and some man coming to visit him. And I was like, you jerk. You jerk. Come on. Just watch it for what it's worth because it's amazing.
I
No.
think Outlaw Star is a little bit like that too.
I felt like Outlaw Star was a knockoff. I
Really?
did, and I'm not saying that Outlaw Star is not a good show. I know we discussed it briefly because of like Lady A show when we were talking about Black History Month, but I feel like Outlaw Star was like pushed as like, oh, this is the next Bebop. I felt like it was advertised. This is the next Bebop, and I'm like, what? Because it's a ragtag group of people on a spaceship. There and the same American voice actor voiced what's his face? I was like, no, I don't buy it, and I actually was offended.
Really?
I was offended. I was offended. I watched every episode of both shows, and I'm like, no, it's not the same. It's a bounty hunter show, but that's literally as close as it gets. And they're on a
I'm,
spaceship.
but that's kind of hard to say. Now, granted, if this was like an American show, I would
Mhm.
totally agree. But there's so many. I mean, we just talked about multiple shows that have robots and mechs,
Mhm.
and they're pretty freaking similar
Mhm.
to one another because that was like the trend. And so, like, I think this was like the space opera, space western
Mhm.
trend for that time. It could have been a copy, but I think also with and the copy in the sense that Toonami was like, we need another Cowboy Bebop because there
Yeah,
isn't one,
they did.
versus the creator saying, I want to make another Cowboy Bebop. Um, it might have been
Yeah.
something along those lines.
Yeah. Maybe, definitely, maybe Toonami had something to do with that. That's a possibility. Yeah, because I didn't like the way it was force fed to me. You know,
Really?
no, I'm not saying I didn't like the show. I'm saying I didn't like the marketing. Like it was marketed, it was it was marketed as if, you know, oh yeah, if you love Cowboy Bebop, you'll love this. And I'm like, no, I feel completely different towards this show. Not like I didn't like it. I like the show. That show. I have their music. Like I sing Melfina's song all the time. Da 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 da. Like, come on, I'm just saying. But I didn't like how it was like, oh yeah, this is like Cowboy Bebop, and I'm like, no, it's not. No, no, no. Anyway, glad we got that off our chest. We'll talk about that show another week. So yeah, Keriene, so what, you didn't like Cowboy Bebop? What's wrong with you?
I haven't seen any of the shows you're talking about. So
So we're gonna let him go because she clearly is not adding to any of the Cowboy Bebop discussion.
I am sorry.
No,
Uh,
we could definitely switch shows. I just wanted to say that because I was going to, and then my mic was like, no, no, you're not.
You're right,
So,
you.
but there's I mean, even outside of anime, like, what are some cool shows that you saw? Like the first episode was like, I want to watch this show.
oh, what is the kingdom one we were talking about,
Oh,
Teresa?
12 Kingdoms.
Yeah,
Well, we
12
have a whole
Kingdoms.
series on that, but yeah,
Oh,
go 12 Kingdoms. Seriously.
I haven't seen it in forever, so I can't really talk about it. But I do know the first episode grabbed me, and I had to binge watch the whole season.
Yeah,
Great.
it's fantastic.
If
It
you would like to talk more about it, Titi, you totally can, because that's all I have to say on that one.
Wow. At least at the part.
I
Okay,
don't
I'm
remember
gonna add this.
anything.
I'm so mad at you. That's it. She's like, that's it. I haven't seen it in 30 years, even though I'm only 21, and so I have nothing else to add. That's literally
That's basically it. That's all I got.
Do you remember the part where she wakes up on the beach and she looks at the ocean and she sees all the universes?
TT, why are you asking me
I
this?
just
I don't
wanted
remember.
just wanted to see how much you forgot. See, but the thing is,
No,
and
everything. I
no, I
forget
want everybody
everything.
listening to understand. I want everybody listening to understand that sometimes you don't have to remember what happened in the show. You just have to remember how it made you feel.
Oh
That's
my
mm,
God. If you could see how
that's,
I'm rolling my eyes right now.
that's my PSA for the day.
Oh
Unfortunately,
I
we
think
did
they
not
fell
record
into the
it.
trap.
uh-huh.
That's funny. No, we'll go into talking about that, but we did all watch Kill la Kill and um
Oh, yes, we did.
but Carrie, we all watched Kill la Kill. We all watched the first episode. We thought it was hilarious and crazy. Carrie, and let us know why you stopped watching Kill la Kill.
Because of the fan service, it was just too much. There's so
Yeah.
much boobs in your face, and I'm like, I couldn't. Cause the first episode, I was like, oh, I can get into this, and the second episode was just boobs, all boobs, and I was like, no, I can't get into this.
I didn't finish it because it's really content heavy, like it's really dialogue heavy, and so it's a lot of reading, but it's not just that, it's that there's stuff all over the screen. Like every time somebody is introduced, which again is like, since we just talked about fan service, Ikitosen, remember how we talked about that, Kenny, a few weeks ago?
Yeah, yeah.
But there's so much stuff across the screen because they're introducing characters and saying this person is this, and and so that's part of the humor of the ridiculousness of the show. It's completely ridiculous, and it's kind of a parody of like other shonen action anime in a way. And so, which again is why I think they include so much fan service, because it's supposed, this is something that boys would like, but they made the main characters female and powerful. And so,
It's nuts.
mm-hmm,
It's incredibly nuts. Now,
yeah,
sorry to cut you off, but like she was saying about the fan service,
mm-hmm.
her power comes from a suit or like a
It's not even a suit.
outerwear that
That's
that
outerwear.
that turns into like stuff you shouldn't wear. Like it's like a thong like that
Yeah.
talks like it's yeah. I like the show because they make a point to be like there's no filler.
Mm-hmm.
Everything moves at 100 miles per hour, and I'm like, this is new. Like I finished it mad quick because of how fast it goes. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was like this is one of the
Uh-huh.
shows where you kind of watch. It's a show that you watch and you kind of like look behind to make sure no one's like around because
Yes.
like it's like it because what actually happens later in the show is actually really good. Like the in terms of classism is actually
Yeah.
really interesting.
Huh.
But it to get to that, you have to go through a lot of mess, like just a lot. And it's like, wow, like why so much?
Right. Right. It's so fast paced, and I realized, I think I got to episode like 6 or 7 or something like that, and I realized that I didn't know what was going on anymore. And I was like, I can't. I need to go back. I need to watch this again, and I need to spend more time. And then I started doing something else, and I never picked it back up. So I watched the first episode again today, and I was like, this is hilarious. It really, really is funny. But that's as far as I got today. That's that first episode. There were a lot of like, that you may not remember, but the kids in the beginning, the little gang of children. So the main character, the girl, you know how she's going to the school because she wants revenge for somebody who killed her father.
Yeah.
And so that little gang that she meets on her way to school, that little gang, they try to, rob her. And it's just funny because the girl tries to steal her wallet, but she ends up getting the lemon out of her. It's like, who the hell carries around a half-eaten lemon? It doesn't make any sense. And then she's like, so you stole my lemon, didn't you? Like she goes, like she said something like, did you want to fall in love that badly or something, like making a joke of the fact that the girl was going to put her mouth on the same lemon that she was eating. She's
Oh,
like, are you
gross.
you in that much of a rush for your for your first kiss or something like that? Indirect. And the girl, of course, takes offense to it, but it's like, what better way to shut down a child than to say something like that to them? And then the fact that it ended up being a gang, it wasn't just one little girl trying to steal her wallet, it was a gang of rugrats. And it reminded me of City of God. You remember the movie City of God and you had the runts? You guys remember that movie?
No.
I remember that movie for totally different reasons. Yeah,
Totally other different reasons.
I think that was like one movie that was like, it's not a horror movie, but I feel kind of off. Like, just,
Yeah, it's a bunch
yeah,
of kids killing each other and yeah,
it's not exactly Lord of Flies, but it's not far. It's not
not
far from.
far. Not, I'm gonna go with you on that one. Not far. But yeah, that's a, I thought that was like hilarious little kid gang and I don't know, you know, other stupid things, but it was, I thought it was, it's definitely a good first episode to kind of pull you in because it, like I said, it goes 100 miles an hour and you're like, whoa, what did I just watch? Let me keep watching until you realize you're completely lost like I was.
So, okay, have you watched any of the? I know we mentioned Game of Thrones, but any other shows on HBO? Um,
Mm, oh
Westworld.
no. Say what? What did you say?
I said Westworld.
Oh, you know what? I did. I did watch some episodes of Westworld. But I had HBO for free at the time. It was one of those. I'm pretty sure it's. They have those periods where
The
they let you
Trial.
have HBO exactly. But
It
it
was
then like
free last
pops up
weekend.
on your TV. Um, so that's when I caught Westworld and I was hooked. And then the free trial was over. I didn't want to pay for it, so.
How was it though? Because I've heard a lot of stuff about Westworld, but I haven't actually seen it.
You are missing
Um,
a
that
lot.
was a yeah, a lot goes on in it. I can't really recount a whole lot because my memory's awful, but um, I'm, I'm I'm pretty sure I know what
Oh my god.
it's about.
Okay,
I,
Kenny, Westworld,
I,
go watch it.
I'm pretty sure it's about it's oh, gosh, I can't. I probably shouldn't even open my mouth to talk about it. But I'm pretty sure it's about like androids, AI, who are in this Westworld, which is an amusement park, and it's where people can submerge themselves in this Western world. It's completely fictional, and they have these AIs that like reenact almost the same day or something over and over and over again. But because they're AIs, they're just robots that go to work. But I think these AIs are starting to remember that it's the same thing that's repeating, and they become aware and that kind of thing. That's what I remember anyway. I know there's more going on, but thank you. Thank you.
That's good enough.
So I had like a iRobot type of vibe.
Um, no, I can't say that since
No.
iRobot was more like um it's a robot that had a mission in iRobot, and then the other robots are like trying to kill Will Smith. This one wasn't like that. It was more like you were rooting for the AIs to become aware and to find something. I don't know, to find a way out of that predicament because you kind of felt for them doing the same thing over and over again, like it's no way to live.
Yeah.
Um, then there are the actual, like the real people that would go to that world to escape or something like that. And they had their own story, so it's a lot of stuff going on. Um, yeah,
That's interesting.
Yeah, you
yeah.
gotta watch it, Kenny. Definitely watch it. We'll fix the HBO problem. You didn't hear that?
Well, I did the thing where like I would subscribe for like a month to like HBO Go, and I was doing that with Game of Thrones and Insecure and a couple other shows where I would just like I would binge and then like not like just cancel my subscription. Um, and the same thing with like other streaming services outside of like Netflix and Disney Plus.
Mhm.
Um, for instance, if you and this is like a just tidbit here for everyone who's doing the same thing. If you because YouTube has their own like premium service and they have like movies and stuff that are only on there. And I was watching the Karate Kid show. and which is awesome, great show.
It's a
And
show, not a movie.
so it's the characters from the film from the
Yeah.
first Karate Kid.
Yeah.
They've grown up.
Yeah, it's the Kubla Kai show, Cobra Kai show. And
Yeah,
that,
Cobra Kai,
yeah,
Oh, interesting.
and they've grown up, and it's the same actors, and they have children of their own, and their children kind of get into it in terms of fighting and whatnot. Awesome show, and so but I wanted to watch it. It's only on YouTube. I think it's called YouTube Red, and I was like, darn, like I don't want to pay for YouTube. I mean, it's YouTube, right? But what I found out was if you subscribe, like let's say so the way they do it, they don't do the thing where like you can subscribe for a month and then wherever you are in the month, you'll just go to that next month that day. What YouTube does, or at least what they did was if you subscribe, like say like there's only 5 days left, you only paid for 5 days. And so I paid like $1 and I got it for like 3 days and I just binged the show.
yeah, smart, smart.
Whoa.
So I didn't have to I didn't actually have to pay a whole lot to watch it, as opposed to paying for a whole month or whatever. So that's like a tip for everyone. But yeah, it's one of those things where like if I'm really interested in the show, I will do something like that and just make sure that I have the time to watch and then kind of indulge until it's done. And so like on HBO, I know there's a lot of cool shows outside of Game of Thrones. I know Game of Thrones was like the big thing for like forever. Um, and yeah, for a long time.
It was
That
like HBO was so cool before Game of Thrones. Then Game of Thrones came, and then it got popular in season 3. Like everybody wanted to watch it, and then it was like, oh my god, the only show on HBO is Game of Thrones. I'm like, no, it's not. John Oliver's on there. That's how I
Have
felt.
not John Oliver.
That's how I felt. How I felt.
so yeah, this might be something I do in the future to check out Westworld. Um, I might do that
It's
unless
on.
someone has a code or something for me. I can.
I got you, cuz I got you. Season three's out. Is about. It's either. I think the first episode came out. So like I watched season 1 and season 2, and season 2 is just out of control. It's out of control. They put everybody in that show. They put
Mm.
everybody. They went and got the dad off of X-Men when they went to Japan and whatnot. They got everybody on that show.
Oh
Okay,
wow.
it's out of control. The show's out of control.
I'm definitely gonna have to check that up. That and Watchmen with Regina King. I,
Yeah,
I
yeah, I can do that.
I need to check that out.
Don't
But
know
yeah,
about that either.
what other shows? Oh, scratch that. What are some of your favorite shows? Like
Like
just in
period?
in life? Yeah.
Oh man, it's always sunny in Philadelphia.
I think I've seen like 2 episodes of that ever.
Oh, I've seen every episode of every season 10 or more times. I love this show, but I have a really like addictive personality, and if I find a show that I like, it just brings me comfort to just watch it over and over and over again because it's something that I'm used to and um, just something that's familiar. But and it just it's such every single person on this show is such a deplorable human being. Like they're all every character is just the scum of the earth, and it's so hilarious that the hijinks they get into. I highly recommend watching the show. It's so good.
I'm gonna have to check that out. That's how I feel
Yeah.
about shows like Frasier and Scrubs and The Cosby Show, even though that's tainted.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
A Different World. What other shows? There was a couple that I've like. It'll be something where like if it's on Netflix, before I go to bed, I need to watch at least 1 episode. Like that's
Yes.
how I can totally understand the comfortingness. I'm mad that Frasier's not on there anymore. I'm really upset about that.
That's
Never
okay.
watched
They've got
Frasier.
The Office.
Oh my gosh, Frasier is so good. It's so good. The writing is really good. Um, and how they do like this ironic play, either not so much on words but on situations that just I don't know. It's hilarious to me. Even though I've watched it so many times over the years, I still laugh at the jokes. Um, Definitely a good show. Um,
Have to
I
check
wish
it
I
out.
could.
I
Um,
like Frasier.
Netflix used to get one of those shows like back in the day. Like I would like to have Like if Netflix can just absorb certain channels, that would be great.
It
Uh,
would.
like I would like to watch Living Single and Martin again.
Oh man, good
That's right.
time.
You don't have cable because we talked about this. Like Living Single and Martin come on all the time, but you don't have cable.
Oh,
Nope.
I don't either.
Because
I don't have money for all that.
I mean, my cable is bundled with my internet. So if I don't have cable, then I don't have internet. Like my internet is more expensive than my cable. So I get a bundle and it's the same price as internet would be by itself.
Oh shit, okay.
Oh,
That's because of
that's
where I
what's up.
live, though. Maybe
Yeah, I couldn't find a deal like that.
That would be dope. I mean, I don't even know if I would actually. I've gotten so used to not watching TV that, at least not in that capacity, like commercials bug me.
Don't worry, you're gonna start. If you ever get cable, you will end up doing it. Like I didn't. I'm telling you, I didn't have cable for like 10 years, and then Lillian showed up, and then I had to get cable. And now we watch TV. Mind you, we watch a lot of on demand, but we do watch TV. I mean, Hermione has to watch TV, but we do watch it, and then you'll thank the fact that commercials come because then you can get up and go to the bathroom. I
That's
realize
what
that's
that's what
the
the
problem.
that's what the pause button is for.
You know.
You just, you're streaming, you just, oh, I just pause. I could rewind. Yeah, it's great. It's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely like that. Keriene, you love Archer, right?
You know what? I don't love it as much as you do. I
Me too.
appreciate it.
You're not my friend.
It's
We're
it's
done.
a super funny show, and excuse me, the guy. Excuse me, I got the Rona. The guy that is the voiceover. What's his name? I don't know his name, but I love him.
H. John Benjamin.
He's the
Yeah,
Bob's
he's hilarious.
Bob's Burgers guy too.
Oh my God, Bob's Burgers is another favorite show. That one I'm currently obsessed with, and I rewatch over and over and over.
Over and over.
Did you
Yes,
see the
I
episode
love.
of Archer when he pretends to be Bob? Like he
Yes,
goes undercover? Yeah, that was awesome.
it's very awesome.
That was such a good episode. Linda, break out the purple stuff. Bobby! I don't know, Linda. Oh, that was a good episode. That was a good episode. Why are they speaking Russian? Yeah,
Oh, there's blood all over the kitchen.
that was a good one. That was a really good one. Yeah. I'm totally down for
I
the
think
stupid comedies.
I think with Archer and Futurama and I was watching the show gosh, what is on Netflix? The guys that did Futurama and The Simpsons, they have a show on Netflix.
That new one, yeah. I don't remember what it's called, but I know what you're talking about.
Oh, Disenchantment. So
Yes.
I watched that show, and one of the things I found is that even though I don't think it's funny, I mean, there's funny moments that work, but there's a lot of jokes that kind of just don't really work, or they don't land as much as I think they
Yeah.
should. And but what happens within the show or within each episode makes me want to watch because it's interesting enough. And I think the same thing with Archer. Like Archer, there'll be episodes where I laugh nonstop, and there's some where I don't laugh at all. But because he's going to like a secret island and he's fighting robots, and his wife is secretly a robot, and you know all this crazy stuff happens. It's interesting to watch regardless. Um, and I think that's a strength of the writing there because they're not just trying to be, like Family Guy in a sense where it's just like joke, 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 joke. It's we actually have a story that we're trying to tell. It's a funny story, but
Yeah.
we have a story. And I think that it survives off of that.
I dig Archer for sure, and Disenchantment. I've only seen a couple episodes though, because like you said, the jokes fall short, and I don't know. I have to really be in the mood for, quite honestly, a show that I don't care too much about. Like if I just want something to watch on TV.
That
I
makes
put
sense.
Archer on, like, I love Archer. I put Archer on in the background since I've watched it so many times. I watched like every season. so many times. I put it on in the background, like if I need something to do. Sometimes like you put on music to clean, but I just put on Archer. And I used to do that with Friday Night Lights because I
Oh
watched that.
gosh.
But then what I noticed with Friday Night Lights is that I actually ended up getting distracted and sitting down. I mean, the truth is I do that with Archer too. So maybe they're not good background shows, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I had that problem with Scrubs. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna fold this laundry, just have Scrubs in the background, and then before you knew it, I'm pulling a JD. My mind is somewhere else, and I'm
Oh,
like,
I do love Scrubs. I do.
yeah, or I'm watching Twerk do the Hivy, not Twerk, Turk do the Hivy, and it's
Oh,
like, I was like, oh man, I can't watch this show and do anything else. It's just
yeah.
tough. Or
Yeah.
like Dr. Cox has a rant, and it's like, I gotta listen to this part. This is great.
Oh, he was so mean to JD, the poor guy.
But he was great too. Like he taught him like amazing stuff.
He did. He did. Oh man, I missed that show.
Yeah, that was also something that's not on Netflix anymore. You know, with the coronavirus thing going around, they should really bring that stuff back if
They
they
should
can. They should
agree.
bring that back because that'd be great. Thankfully, though, I did purchase I think at least up to season 5 of the show, and so every now and then I'll like watch it that way. Um, but yeah, like him calling him girl names and uh him wanting to be an eagle, like yeah, it's great.
yes. Oh man. And the surgeon that had the high fives
Yes,
and the
and
cutoff sleeves. Oh man.
you would get upset if someone else gave someone else a high five. Like that's my
Yes.
thing.
Oh my gosh, I forgot how funny that show is. Yeah, or
And
was. Yeah.
the janitor being crazy
Oh my god,
uh
the janitor. Yeah.
and like I think what was it? Ted is in a music group. Um,
Ted
dang,
with the bald Ted. Oh,
yeah,
Ted. Oh my
man,
goodness. That poor
that
guy.
show
Did he try and commit suicide on the show a number of times?
Wow.
multiple times and failed, thankfully.
He
Um,
did. Oh my god, he's the most pitiful human. Poor Ted. Poor Ted.
but they did give him a girlfriend at one point, so that was cool.
Oh, I remember her.
And they
Little
got
mouse.
married.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think she played the ukulele or something.
She
Wow.
did. She did. Yeah.
Well, it's on Hulu, guys.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Is it really?
Yes, it's on Hulu.
So mad at you, Teresa.
It's on Hulu.
So I need a Hulu hookup and a HBO hookup.
I got you on the Hulu.
That's what's up.
Nobody
That's what's
heard
up.
that.
Psh,
Nobody
whatever.
heard that.
What they gonna do? They gonna come get me? Yeah. Come outside.
It's like in
I'm
5 minutes
a
somebody's
cough in my
knocking at the
hand,
door.
and you're gonna walk away.
They're like, yeah, we own the world. So yeah, it's like Comcast. They own everything.
It's ridiculous how much they own. Actually,
Hmm.
I didn't realize it.
Yep, they own everything.
They heard of Viacom?
Comcast owns Viacom, don't they? Comcast
No.
owns everything.
They own a
I thought
lot.
I know Viacom owns like a ton. I didn't know, but Comcast owns Viacom.
You might.
Jesus.
I don't know. Google it.
Wait.
We'll know in about 0.2 seconds.
Oh my gosh. So they own uh a ton of like TV channels and such.
Yeah.
Um, as well as there's like telecommunication stuff that they own.
Yeah.
And then like like Telemundo and stuff like that. I want to say they bought Universal. Um,
I don't know. They may have.
yes, they bought Universal Pictures. So that was in 2006. So
Is
yeah,
that when I worked there? Yeah, that's when I worked there. No, yeah, no, I did. I worked there. I worked there in 06 or 05 because I did work for Comcast. Yeah, they make a lot of money.
yeah, it's ridiculous. Just being able to buy Universal, like that's nuts. That's nuts. Money. That's yeah, whatever. They'll be fine with me
Yeah. Okay.
and Hulu. Well, actually, No, that's Disney. Disney owns Hulu,
I have no idea.
and Disney owns a lot too.
Yeah, they own ABC, or ABC owns them. Somebody owns somebody. Somebody always owns someone in this world. What else?
So, what are some of your favorite non-anime shows, Tess?
Um, I would say that I obviously we just chit chatted about Game of Thrones, but it was awesome. The first episode of Game of Thrones really did do some craziness because it was just like Attack on Titan, like set up information. Oh, these people seem to not like this person. Oh, whatever. Da 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 da. Period. Piece. Cool. This is interesting. And then a little boy gets pushed out the window. Boom. That was enough for me. I was done. At that moment, I said, I'm watching every episode. Let's go. Let's go.
So, so we just like gloss over the incest. That's what we. Okay.
Because that didn't surprise me. That's the thing. Okay, Keriene knows me. Okay, Keriene and I have been friends since we were 11. Keriene knows that I literally ruin movies for myself. We can go to the movies and I'm sitting there figuring it out. Inception was the only
Yes.
movie I couldn't crack. Okay, like I knew what was happening, but I couldn't crack. And then we get to the end and I'm like, boom, okay, good. It was my pick anyway. It was my pick. I knew it was gonna be a great movie. Not the point. Carrie knows me, but she knows that I will sit there in movies and be like, and try to figure the ending out. Or like, I rack my brain because my brain is just overactive. That's why I gotta take pills. So anyway, I'm sitting there watching this show, and I'm in my own mind. I already thought that Jamie and Cersei were doing something that they shouldn't have been doing. It was already there for me because if I was a writer, I would have done the same thing. So for me, I was not surprised. I already believed it 10 minutes into the show. I was so into the fact that he pushed him out the window, that he pushed Bran out the window. Jamie pushing Bran out the window is the reason why I kept watching. If he hadn't pushed Bran out the window, I would have been like, eh.
Dude,
Is that the first episode?
Yes.
Doesn't the father get beheaded in the first episode?
No. That's the end of the season. That's the end of the first season.
Oh wow, that was a blur.
Right? So it's like, I mean, to summarize the episode. Okay, you wake up. I mean, the first episode is Jamie and Cersei sitting in a room. There's a dead guy on a bed and some people, doing their churchy things over him. And she's like, you should be the hand of the king. And he's like, blah, 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 blah. They're like besties. They look like they're besties, but they're just too comfortable to me. They just look, seriously, they were just too comfortable. And then you learn a brother and sister. And I was like, seriously, they are screwing. I thought that within 3 minutes of seeing them on screen. I thought they were screwing. Even though they're brothers, I said to myself, they're screwing. Man, dude, I watched a lot of anime. Has anybody ever seen Koi Kaze? Has anybody ever seen what's that? What's the one? Keriene, the one with the wall scroll, that anime wall scroll that you had with Setsuna. Setsuna is the main character. I'm sorry, Keriene. I know I'm doing it again. I forgot what it is called, but it's twins. It's a boy and a girl, and they're apparently star-crossed lovers, but they were born as brother and sister in this lifetime. Like that, it's not, the incest part wasn't new to me. That's why I was just so like, that's happening. I've seen this already. That's happening. Move along. What other drama can I pull out? So you got a little.
I had a wall scroll of this.
You had
Well, like, tell me more.
Your wall scroll wasn't that graphic. Your wall scroll was just Setsuna, the main character. But it wasn't anyway.
Wait, what's the title of this show again?
I forgot. Well, just Google animes with main characters named Setsuna.
How do you even spell that?
Setsuna. Setsuna.
I am Setsuna. Oh no, that's a video game. Never mind.
Yeah, not that.
What? I did not have a wall scroll of this.
The wall scroll with the guy with the angel wings. It was.
Oh, I got that wall scroll because it looked cool.
I know. But when I went to I was at your house one day. I love it how everybody's like a part of this now. I went to your house and I was like, because you were like, oh my god, look at this wall scroll I got. I was like, oh my god, I saw that show. That's Setsuna. And you're like, who? And I was like,
Exactly. See, look, you should know my memory is bad. How are you going to ask me to remember something that you told me about? And I didn't even know it was a thing.
thought maybe you watched it afterward. Not the point. We're digressing. Going back to Game of Thrones. So, anywho, you've got okay. So what's his face is dead, right? So now the king needs a new hand. So then they get in a house, a wheelhouse. Takes them a month to get to the north. Winterfell, where all these cold people live. And the current king's best friend, is the head of Winterfell. I was like, hey, you want to come and be my hand? No, I don't. Well, you can't say no to me. I'm the king, asshole. So let's go. You owe me. And what? But before that all happens, what? So his little brother, the imp, loves whores. He's hanging around with whores. Like, all of this stuff is the normal stuff you would find in a period, in a timepiece in an alternate world. This is normal shit, right? It's normal.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, it's still entertaining. Outfits are good. They have all-star cast. They picked all of my favorite people. All of my favorite people are in this. First of all, I'm gonna watch anything with Sean Bean. Love me some Sean Bean.
My day, Sean Bean is.
He's the guy who dies in every movie. He was in Lord of the Rings. Sean Bean is famous for dying in movies. He was Boromir in Lord of the Rings, where he tried to take the ring from
Boromir, yeah.
I tried to take it from him. That's him, and he dies in every movie. So, anywho, yeah, I didn't expect Bran getting kicked out the window. That's why I love the show. Just had to put it that way. That makes me sound like a bad person.
No, it doesn't.
Anyway, so Keriene, also known as Kay, I'm so glad that you could be with us today. We're so happy that you decided to spend your pre-weekend with us, your pre-Rona weekend.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It was a pleasure. And now I have some anime that I definitely need to check out, thanks to you guys.
Yeah. Yes, you do. 12 Kingdoms is on one of these streaming platforms, by the way.
I'll have to watch it again for sure.
Go watch it again, yeah. That's on it, though. Yeah. Anyway, everyone, this is Keriene again. She is my friend. We've been friends since we were 11 years old, which means we have been friends for just 10 years because we're 21. And you know what? Is our high school reunion canceled because of Rona?
Oh shit! Is this 2020? Wait, what? How old are we again?
It doesn't matter. However old we want to be today.
Oh my gosh! It has to be. If it was supposed to be this year, it's got to be canceled.
I heard it was supposed to be in May. I don't get on Facebook enough though. Anyway.
Did you say any gay?
I actually did. Unfortunately, that came out of my mouth. Sorry, any gay.
Oh my goodness.
No. So yeah, so Keriene, thanks so much for being with us. We're really happy that you could be here and share your insights on some of your favorite first anime. We have to have you back because this was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
I enjoyed myself. Thank you for this is the first podcast I've ever been on. So thank you. I really enjoyed it.
Good to have you. All right, you guys, we're gonna say goodbye to Keriene, and then me and Kenny will continue the conversation. Have a good night. Don't stay up too late.
I won't. See you guys later. Thank you.
Bye.
See you.
Bye.
That was cool. She's great.
Of course, you gotta love Kay. You gotta love Kay.
She killed me with the wall scroll. It's like I had a wall. Wait a minute.
You had a wall scroll of that? Yeah, that was hilarious. That, that was so funny. I don't remember what the anime is called. We'll find out next. We'll put a link to it when I find out. So we'll talk about that next week. But you saw Game of Thrones too, right? You
I
watched it.
did. I did.
What did you think about the that first episode?
I thought it was dope. I thought that now mind you, I came in late. I think they were on season, let's see, there's 7 seasons, right? 7 or 8?
8 seasons, but we don't count the last season. It didn't exist, so there are 7 seasons.
Got you. So I came in, they were getting ready to start season 7. And so I wanted to watch because I'd heard a lot about it, and I was like, well, let me watch the show. And so season 7 wasn't done yet. It hadn't started airing yet. So I binged season 1 to season 6 within like, I want to say less than a month.
Mhm.
Um, and so my thing was, I want to get through this because people are talking about it, and I want to be a part of the conversation. There's all these memes and all these sayings and all this other stuff happening,
Yeah.
similar to The Witcher. When The Witcher was big,
Right.
um, toss a coin to your Witcher was like the thing everyone was mentioning. Which that song sucks. I'm sorry. Like I don't understand what people are so fascinated about it. It was like catchy for a moment, but afterwards I'm like, and the fact that the guy can actually sing really well. Other than that, it sucked. It's not a memorable song. Like I don't care. Anyways, so similar to that, people were talking about it, and like I remember during the red wedding, I can speak.
Say that three
Um,
times fast.
no, my tongue will fall out. Uh,
Now I gotta see that.
horrible, pushing people out and then tongues falling out. Um, yeah, like people were talking about it like this was the biggest thing ever, and so I was like, I gotta watch the show. So the first episode is a little skewed because I was already determined to watch however many episodes. If it turned out to be trash, then I would have stopped.
Right.
But it didn't take much to keep me watching because I was already determined to like continue.
Yeah.
So it's a little skewed for me. But I thought it was well written. I thought that the actors were really, they did a great job. The
Hmm.
set pieces and everything looked nice. You could tell that they actually spent a lot of money, um, and whatnot. And I think what was intriguing though to me wasn't so much like the incest or like pushing the kid out of the window. What was intriguing to me was showing the or finding out what the people were that were in the woods, because there was a segment where early on where they find a body and it's like chopped up, or I think
Oh
it's like
yeah.
multiple bodies, and it's
Yeah.
chopped up in a way, and it's like what is going on here.
Yeah.
um and so like being a horror fan, I'm like, okay, now we're talking. What's going on with this.
Yeah.
um so that's those type of things, the mystery of certain characters, the White Walkers, even the Wall, like what happens when people go to the Wall and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
those things, I was like, I want to know more. Before the political stuff got a hold, like the political stuff didn't really catch me until the end, which is why I was like, dang, that was a blur. But like
Yeah.
when the evil child became king, it was like, okay, now I'm kind of intrigued about the political stuff, and
Hmm.
the Starks are kind of, their family has to flee in different directions because of all the craziness going on.
Hmm.
um that's when that eventually got to me, but before then it was like the mystery of the bodies, and who lives in the forest past a certain wherever, and
Yeah.
what would make a guy who pledged to stay on the wall knowing that he will die if he leaves, what makes him leave that area anyways, like
Yeah.
that made me really want to watch.
Yeah.
Um, Super disappointed when I found out. Actually, I didn't find out anything about the Walkers. They like, they and spoil. If you didn't see it, I'm sorry.
No, we don't care.
Uh, um, well, the test said we don't care. Spoiler alert. I didn't I like. I liked. I There was aspects of the final season that I liked, and aspects that I didn't like. Obviously, it was rushed. Obviously, they didn't answer a lot of questions that needed to be answered. And, hopefully the book will if the guy ever gets to writing it or finishing
Mhm.
the books. But all out of all the stuff that was cool about the last episodes, it felt so bad.
It was bad.
Uh,
It was
and it
bad.
and it
Let's just
was
be
like
honest.
it was which is telling because the guys, once the source material was done, they didn't know what to do.
Exactly.
Um, and they were bad anyways. There's a whole thing with them explaining how bad they were. They didn't know what they were doing. Um, but it was like, yo, like if you could have stretched this out for like 2 more seasons, if you could have stretched this out, even if you the same story beats happened, if you could have stretched it out so we got more answers and things played out in a better manner, I
Hmm.
would have been, I would have been more pleased.
Yeah.
Um, and unfortunately, and what's bad about that is we have to wait a long, long, long time before someone else tries it.
Yeah, we do.
If someone tries it, because I still feel like the I don't know if you saw Lost, but I feel like the ending to Lost sucked too. Like,
Lost ended horribly. Suck is not a word for that. That was tragic.
yeah,
It,
I that was rough, and
no.
and so and it's sad because like, okay, this is all we get. We can't go back now. Like you
Nope.
messed it up, you know. So it's like it's interesting how like something can start off so strong and just crash at the end.
Crash and burn. You know what? It's almost in that. No, never mind. I'm not even gonna say that. Never mind. Screw that chain of thought. But yeah, it was trash. D&D were trash. Everything was trash. It was trash, and we're all upset. That's why I say season 8 didn't exist. I mean, I could go as far to say that there were a lot of things. There were a lot of things that I didn't like about Game of Thrones that they did. I mean, I read the books, so it was. I do have a tendency to ruin movies and shows for myself because I have a tendency to read the books first. And so of course there's a lot of things that happened in the books that you don't have time for, you don't have money for, or they just don't adapt well to screen. And so that's understandable. And I think that you do need to give credit to readers. One of the things I had this conversation with my cousins and my sisters. I said one of the things that I felt like D&D did was not give credit to the viewers. They didn't. It's like they didn't think that we're smart. They think we're stupid. They think we're the average. Oh, let me go watch the last night Transformer movie type crowd. No, that wasn't us. Like, like we're not. We don't just want to watch just a bunch of stuff blow up and watch a bunch of people kill each other with no understanding. This started off as a very maniacal, diabolical, convoluted style show. Like that's the story. Every people are out for themselves. We get to know every effing character. There's no characters working in the shadows that we don't know, and like an aha moment, like a cartoon. No, like everybody, but they don't know each other. And so we're looking at all the workings of all of these crazy maniacal plans or schemes and this, that, and the other. And not everybody's supposed to like each other. Not everybody's supposed to get along. We are smart enough to understand how something would play out. Give us that kind of credit, but don't sit there and have me believe. I'm not saying that this isn't canon. I'm going to say something right now. I'm not going to say that what happened is not canon, but the way it was shown on TV was wrong. For example, you can't have me you can't have me believe that Daenerys Targaryen and all the crap that she's been through would be so retarded. Oh, sorry. I apologize. I should not have used that word. But would be so dumb to fly her 757 dragons over the wall to go in and be like, hey, boyfriend guy, hey, you need a ride? It doesn't, like, and I'm being so serious because it doesn't make sense that she took the 3 of them instead of the one she was riding. So she just needed to take all 3 for some effing reason. Or the fact that they would even say, hey, you know what would make Cersei listen to us? If we went beyond the wall and brought her a wife. Whose idea was that? I'm being honest, like if George Martin has a way to write that into the book, he's going to write it in a way where there's no other way. He's going to make the situation so desperate and so dire that they have to go beyond the wall, something that no one wants to do. People are running the opposite direction. They're getting themselves killed, i.e., what you just said. The first scene of the first show is somebody basically trying to escape the slaughter that happens beyond the wall. So these idiots, because what? They're men in black and a couple of other Southerners decide that they want to go beyond the wall and capture themselves a white? What kind of nonsense is that? George Martin's writing style is so amazing that he would have, if this is actual canon, but he would have written it in a way that the situation was so desperate it needed to happen. But if you tell me, a viewer, who's sitting there watching a bunch of these idiots in warm, sunny King's Landing, sitting around a round table begging Cersei to bring her armies north, they're like, please, we really need your help, even though how much can she offer? 1,000,000 soldiers to fight the Walking Dead? Like, it doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up. Yay, we can get Cersei soldiers and have a what do you call it? Like a break. See, no, I'm just saying I'm not that dumb, and I would hope that the rest of the viewers aren't that dumb either to be like, this was your only option. No, and so obviously this was a trajectory that needed to happen so that their storyline could happen, so that Viserion could get taken by the Night King and turn into an ice dragon and bring down the wall. Like, it's a catalyst. I understand that, but you need to make it happen so that it's dire, because I don't trust that that is the way that George Martin would have written it, the way that it portrayed on TV. So on TV it just sounded stupid to me. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I think, and honestly, I think that's what they were going for in the sense that the people who had experience fighting the White Walkers, and like, because there's the scenes where they're leaving and the camp is slowly overtaken by, I forgot where they were, but it was slowly overtaken by the zombies. Like, they would kill someone and they would get back up, and so like there it was like, we're fighting this army, we have the numbers, but all of a sudden our numbers are turning against us, and they flee, I think, like on a boat or something, and all the walkers or whatever are like just looking at them as they
Yeah.
like go. And so the idea is that Jon Snow realizes that they're not going to be able to, like, the North is not going to be able to do this on their own,
Yeah.
and that they're going to need help from everybody. But
Yeah.
I think in the middle of what's going on between, um, the Dragon Queen and Cersei, or like, the two sides, the other sides, that there's so much drama there that it would take more than what happened for them to go like, we need to go show her this. Like,
Yeah.
I thought it would have been cool if, like, kind of like how the wall comes down, like if something
Mhm.
happened where the armies are faces this, like, because she doesn't believe it, like she doesn't believe Jon Snow. They run into the walkers and things go left, like real
Totally.
bad, and then it's like, okay, we lost a dragon and we were actually fighting as opposed to going to pick someone up. Now we need to go talk to her, and whatever, and then that falling apart, like that would have made sense. um and I think they were trying to do that. So even those things I could kind of like get over, I guess you could say. But there are
Mhm.
things that are like mad predictable, that I feel like you could be predictable in a way that works logically.
Mhm.
Like, for instance, with her turning mad and like burning everyone down, that was kind of like, that's what prophecy, right? Like
Right.
that's what we think was going to happen,
Yeah.
whether it happened or not. Um, and honestly, that actual bit of information could have gone either way. If she wouldn't have done it, that would have been predictable. And if
Mhm.
she did do it, it was predictable as well. I think what the problem was getting to that point.
Yeah.
Like, she has been struggling obviously with the negative things that's been happening, but for the most part, she's been rather sane. Like,
Exactly.
sane. Like, and even if though she would get upset, if we look at her trajectory, she would get upset at people and still keep them around. She wouldn't
Mhm.
murder people. Like, there were things that she would do. Obviously, she would get upset and like, because I'm a queen and you need to treat me as such. But
Yeah.
she wasn't like Cersei. And so, or like her father or grandfather or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
She didn't show that. And
Yeah.
so as we get closer to this season and there's less material for them to pull from, then
Mhm.
they start ramping things up. Like, all of a sudden, like, they won't bend the knee in the north. It's like, we'll get to them, when we get to them, we have to get this person first. Now it's like, oh, they're talking back now. Like, wait a minute, where did that
Yeah.
come from?
Yeah.
And like it was so rapid that, okay, now I don't believe you. Like, even
No.
when she was sitting on the dragon, she's getting ready to, burn everything down, and um, crap, I forgot his name, but he was like, when the bells ring, that means that they open the gates, that they're
Mhm.
done, they surrender, they're gonna open the gates.
Mhm.
So they ring the bell, and
Mhm.
I'm like, she's gonna do it. she's gonna do it, and there's no
Mhm.
reason for her to do it.
Mhm.
Nothing happened, and even like like they had that whole stupid setup where her friend gets her her head cut off. It's like none of that had to happen. You are pushing for this is something that happens with The Walking Dead that I hate,
Mhm.
where we have to have a problem and we're gonna write backwards, seemingly.
Mm.
So we need Rick to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. How do we get Rick here? Let's go backwards. Let's have Rick do a bunch of dumb stuff all the way up until this point to get him in this predicament. And they since season 2, they've been doing that. There's been some good stuff here and there, some good seasons, some bad seasons, but since season 2, they've been doing extremely dumb stuff because they need this thing to happen. And I don't think
Yeah.
that people think that okay, like you're gonna be so wrapped up in what happens that you're gonna forget that this was really dumb. Like there's a
Yeah.
part in season 2, and I'm going back because The Walking Dead is still going, so I don't want to spoil that. But the season 2, they're all stuck on a bridge. There's like all these abandoned cars. Mind you,
Mhm.
this is the world of zombies. Um, a woman lets her kid and another kid just walk around. I think they're like 10, maybe 13 at the whatever. But for the most part, they're young. Let them
Mhm.
walk around. A group of zombies come up. They get split up, and the kid is missing. And it's like, how did this happen? You
Yeah.
had an RV with armed people. Like there was an armed person on top of the RV. Why would you let your kids walk around and scat? Like one of the
Makes
people,
sense.
the uh the black guy or whatever, cut his arm and nearly died from like an infection, just from being around the cars and the debris. This is a mind you, I wouldn't let my kids out of my sight on an abandoned highway,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
Let alone in a world where zombies exist.
Right.
Like where you can get bit and then that's it, right? And the fact that they don't know that there's bodies in these cars, you know what I'm saying? Like the best that she did was Carol, she was just like, just stay close. I'm like, are you kidding me? So like because in the comic, it's done differently.
Mhm.
Um they are the part where like Carl gets shot, that happens in the comic, but it's because they're all going together, they're all scavenging, they're all doing whatever, and Carl is he's handled a gun before,
Mhm.
he's more mature in this sense. Um, it's not because they were scavenging for stuff and they let the kids go by themselves. Like that's not what happened. They were in a group and a guy thought they were zombies and he shot Carl. That makes sense. We have
Yeah.
a logical problem that gets the same result that you want. But no, I guess you have too many cast members. I don't know. You want to have something that links us, that keeps us held in place until the season, the half season finale or whatever the case.
Mhm.
Like, why? There's so many dumb things that they did when they lowered Glenn in the well. Who is gonna drink out of that well with a
Y-
zombie in it?
Yeah.
I don't drink water where there's a fly in it. Like you just come
Come
on, like just so many things that I'm like, you don't know how the virus spreads, you don't know any of
Right.
this stuff. And then Rick already knows that everyone dies, they get up at this point.
Yeah.
Why are you risking yeah, it's so many dumb things. And so I feel like the Game of Thrones was kind of like that as well. It's like we got a problem. We gotta get her to lose her mind. How do we do that? Let's do something dumb and get her friend killed. Like that it
Stupid.
they were writing backwards to me
It was like
instead
a
of thinking
bad
forward.
RPG in a way. It's like, oh, we have to meet this criterion for X to happen. Total bad
Yeah.
RPG. That's really what it was. I'm so angry. I was like, you know what would have been better is if even I'm sorry, a lot of things would have been better. Chocolate ice cream would have been better. For crying out loud, it was a waste of our effing time. But just looking at her sitting on top of that dragon, and she was feeling all those emotions and she's looking at everybody and everybody's looking at her like, don't do it. And then she does it. I would have just preferred, instead of her looking like, I'm angry, everybody, and I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to let my Drogon blow this place to smithereens, I would have liked to see her sitting on there filing her nails and would have been like, y'all MFers thought I wasn't going to burn this place down? Go to hell. In fact, go there right now. Burn. That would have been much more entertaining. Because I'm sorry, like I'm on Daenerys' side for this. Daenerys really is one of my favorite characters in the book. Obviously, Tyrion and Daenerys, and A couple other people we can get into that another time. But I just felt a certain type of way because the ending of the show to me is actually really unfair to women, kind of. And what's her face? Sansa becoming Queen of the North does not fix anything. In fact, I think Sansa becoming Queen of the North and the way she became Queen of the North was very Cersei-esque. And so in the end, I don't even like the way that the main women were portrayed. And you can even go to Brienne and even talk about how, like, this woman's an idiot. Because, like, you were with, excuse my language, you were with a fuckboy this whole effing time. Right? And then you end up thinking, don't leave me. Don't go to your sister that you've been sleeping with for your whole life. Don't go to her. Girl, she got some magic poontang, okay? That's obviously why he's still with her, and you just you didn't do it right, okay? And then you want to sit there and write in the book and say he was a good man? That's classic abuse syndrome, okay? Where are we? All of the women, all the main women, besides the fact that a bunch of them got raped 50 million times, a bunch of the other ones got the throat slit, and anytime they ever rose to power, apparently one went crazy. You know what? I would have went crazy too if all my vassals turned against me. I would have went crazy if my brother, the only person that I knew and loved my whole life, who carried me since I was a baby and hid me when my mother died and did everything for me, I would have been too. That the fact that my husband killed him, as much as she didn't like Viserys, like as much as he hurt her and scarred her, she still loved him. And one part of in the book, it talks about that multiple times. There are multiple instances in the books as the books go along, all the way to book 5, where she says like she misses Viserys. Because obviously, you know, they were in that abusive type of relationship when, you know, he was her brother. She's always going to love him anyway. But like there's a part of me that really is very upset at how she's depicted, because like Viserys was crazy for reasons. Yes, Targaryens go mad because they're inbred. Duh, right? But Viserys also went through a lot, which is why he cracked. The fact that he was a child and had to go on the run with his baby sister and keep her alive. He had to keep her alive. This boy, this child, kept his little sister alive. And then at the last possession that he had, like the last valuable thing he ever had, was his mother's crown, which he had to sell for their safety. So then the next possession that he has was an actual live human, his sister, who he would have married. And so he always looked at her as property. And then the fact that he had to give her to Khal Drogo just so that they could ensure their crossing back to King's Landing so he could have the crown that was always his. In his defense, his parents always taught him that, really when you're royal blood, you're always taught that this is yours. You own this opulence. You own everything. You know what I mean? So there is this like, rich brat type syndrome thing that it's mine, and I paid through blood, sweat, and tears and all these years to get here, like type idea. And then of course, as he saw that drifting away with his sister marrying a really powerful man that was respected in this, and he didn't have the same power. So he lost it, and he was a jerk. He's a freaking asshole, and he was a jerk. So he lost his mind. And Khal Drogo's like, screw you, I hate you, goodbye, die. But we don't even get to see Daenerys have the same fate. And I don't mean like death. We don't get to see her go through the motions of losing her mind the way a Targaryen loses her mind. She didn't. To be honest, she was just angry to me. She wasn't mad in the term of crazy. She was mad like mad black woman. She was mad. Her boyfriend done did her dirty. Her people, like, I would have burnt them down too twice. Don't give me the dragon. Don't.
Man, it was. If anything, I would have liked if they would have had their fight before the White Walkers,
Yeah.
and things would have went left, and maybe she couldn't reason with Cersei, like she actually tried, and because then it would have been like, well, I tried to be the nice one, and she was going to try to kill me eventually, so I did what I had to do, and now people have to kind of wrestle with that. Because they can't necessarily say that, oh, she's mad now, like she has a point. And so now you have this kind of like where she killed the guy and his son, and
Yeah.
they were
They
related to
wouldn't bend the
Tim.
knee.
Right, they were they're related to um darn it.
Yeah,
Uh
they're Horn Hill. Yeah.
yeah,
So
they're related to the and the I love the character, I can't remember his name, but they're related, they were his family. And
yeah.
so it's like he has to sit with
Sam.
that. He has to
Sam.
sit with that now. Yeah, Sam.
Mhm.
He has to sit with that and like wrestle with, was she right for doing this or not?
Right.
And I think that that would have been more interesting, having to deal with that dilemma of, is she right or wrong in what
Right.
she's doing? Because
Right.
at this point, everyone, the way they did it in the show, everyone knows she's wrong. Like
Right.
everyone knows she's wrong. Like, and why it's not a shock that John kills her, or why that all the other people are kind of like looking at her like, she's always gonna be this way to the north and all this other stuff. If if there was something where like we could say, oh, you know what, you kind of have a point here,
Mhm.
and we tried, then it would have been more of the conflict would have been better. There would have
Yeah.
been more to talk about, more to dig through, and the conflict that arised from it, from that drama, would have been better in terms of like the armies facing each other and having to figure out who's in charge and who's not in charge and
Yeah.
all this other stuff while the White Walkers are coming. Like
Exactly.
that would have been mad interesting to me.
Hmm.
Uh, but they did the other way, and so it was like, I don't know. It just, I remember reading a review about it saying that it was reminiscent of 9/11 and how crazy and destructive it was,
Hmm.
and the picture of people being in ash and all this other stuff. And I was like, that's a very vivid description,
Hmm.
and it also makes it more of a tragedy. It makes it more of a, dang, like we had to go this route. Like this is,
Yeah.
like you could have done this so much better.
Could have.
Because like you said, she wasn't crazy.
She
She
won't.
wasn't.
She had every right to be upset. And like that's what I'm saying. You are some bad writers if you couldn't. How easy though? Seriously, Kenny. How easy is it? It's so easy. You easily made every other Targaryen except Rhaegar, my baby daddy, crazy. All right. Every other Targaryen is effing crazy. It's not hard to make her crazy. You could have written it in easily for her to actually be crazy. And she wasn't. And so then she shows up and burns a bunch of people, and you expect me to believe that she went crazy? You expect me to believe that she's actually just crazy? Oh, I know a killer when I see one. Bitch, you a killer too. Okay. And we're all sitting here being like, yay, go Dora the Explorer, go Dora. But Daenerys got to get stabbed to death? No, I do not subscribe to this. I just think that they did her dirty. And like, I know that, George Martin, he has no problem tearing away your favorite people. To be fair, and I think we mentioned this before, like, as much as I love Daenerys, I never really cared for Amelia Clark's Daenerys. I didn't.
Mm.
She wouldn't have been my pick to play her, and that's fine. That's a whole nother story, different way. It doesn't mean that I don't like Daenerys any less though. And depending on the actor, the roles always kind of play out differently than that's just the way it is. So I'm just saying, like, he had the opportunity to do it and he didn't. And I mean, I shouldn't say he. Sorry, D&D had the opportunity to do it and they didn't. And the setup was there. They just didn't use it because they're idiots and they don't know how to write. That's okay. It's not, but but it is what it is. But I just felt like the dirty was so bad toward her because just like you were saying how they all could have been together, they all could have coagulated somewhere else, and then they all would have had to battle the White Walkers together, which would have been much more interesting, much more interesting because the season failed after the long night. The season was just trash. Like that was the best episode. Long Night was
Right.
amazing, and then the rest was just shit. And and so one thing, like me and my sister were like, we can have another cast in regards to Game of Thrones because Lillian would love to talk about this, and so would Golda. But 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 just to say, like, they they could have done this like in King's Landing, and it could have been more of a okay, Cersei, like when you finally bring this woman to her knees, like a lot of people had all these ways that they wanted her to die, and like my favorite way would have been, to have her and Jaime. Obviously, she needs to die first so that Jaime can see her die, so that he can suffer, and because she's a horrible person. Anyway, if they put her in front of Drogon, and I just wanted to see like Daenerys pretend that she was going to have Drogon fry her, but then not do it and her like get off the dragon and like walk up to her and then just like kill her. Like I just wanted to see her take out a dagger and like slice her throat so everybody could see Cersei bleed through her neck and suffer and die. Like Lena Headey played such a great Cersei was amazing, but it's like you just want to see Cersei like suffer in that moment, and which would be well deserved. We had to watch Catelyn Stark's neck be sliced open and suffer. I'm like, yo, Cersei deserves a worse thing. Like, and I don't want her to get the quick death of being burned. So that's what I imagined instead of her and Jaime dying by Dracarys, because that's what they died by. Dracarys, a bunch of bricks hitting them in the head instead of Dragonfire, which is, anyway, a little joke with the
Yeah,
internet.
that was that was garbage. Yeah, them dying by themselves under the
Oh,
that was such a
we we were robbed. It was all wrong, and it could have been in a sense where it's like Daenerys, like how they were all trying to be civil and shit, but then Daenerys at the end of the day, no matter what, even though everybody was like, yeah, your dragons don't scare us, we don't care if my dragons don't scare you. They're effing dragons, okay?
right.
And I don't care if you are not scared, but I will put a ring of fire around your city, and then I will slowly encroach. You will die, and you know, kill Cersei right there in King's Landing. Okay, guys, taking over. Here's your new queen. Hey, I'm a nice person. Um, and that's really the, the end of it. And then the White Walkers come, and then they all work together. Well, maybe anyway. I'm saying a lot, but if the White Walkers came down, like if everybody from King's Landing actually fled and managed to get away, I don't, not King's Landing, sorry, the North managed to flee south, and the battle really took place in, below the neck, past the Riverlands and everything. And then they saw how amazing Daenerys and her dragons and all of her people really were. And then they would be like, you know what? She's the real queen. Let's go ahead and do this. And that could have been okay. And then they could have like deposed Cersei, and that could have been okay. If somebody wanted to be all like coup-ish then afterward and been like, nah, man, we don't like this woman. We don't try. I would have even accepted that. I
Right.
would have accepted that if people were like, let's fake it. Let's fake that we want her on the throne. And then they threw a coup and killed her because they wanted a Stark or whatever. You know what I mean? Instead of this whole Kingdom of the North crap. I don't buy it. I'm done talking about it this week. I'm over it. We weren't even supposed to go this direction. I'm saying this is, yes, Game of Thrones favorite first episode, definitely. Season 8 did not exist. We need to put that graphic up of that meme. It's like there's a comparison of Game of Thrones versus Lord of the Rings, and it's the picture of like the 9 kings, and it's like there were seven seasons, but there was an 8th season made, one season to ruin them all. It is so, yeah. Yeah, anyway, other shows that we didn't mention tonight that we'll try to get to another time, like some of our favorite first episodes. There's a show called Prison School.
Yeah.
I love the first episode of Prison School. It's absolutely ridiculous. One that people may not know a lot about, Paranoia Agent. I don't know if people know about that one. It's a series by Satoshi Kon. I've mentioned him before. Satoshi Kon was definitely one of my favorite animators ever. He did Perfect Blue,
Oh,
Paprika.
nice.
He did Paprika, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Millennium Actress, Tokyo Godfathers. Like those were my movies. I loved his work. So that one, Paranoia Agent, is a good one. NHK New Yokoso. That's Welcome to the NHK. That was one of my favorites. Talk about that another time. Studio Gonzo. Studio Gonzo makes the best show. Well, I don't know. Maybe. Gankutsuo. That is the Count of Monte Cristo, the anime version. Another Gonzo.
That was awesome too.
Oh, the animation murdered me. It was just so good. Um, the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. That's one of my favorite animes of all time. The first episode of that was redunculous, even though it's technically not the first episode. It is the first, sorry, I should say, it's technically the first episode because it's the first episode that ever aired. But they aired the episodes in mismatch order to go along with Haruhi's crazy brain, which makes the series so much better. Like they really put a lot of thought into that. So Yeah, that's just some of them. I know you had other ones that you probably didn't get to. Oh, Basilisk. Basilisk is on my list.
Oh, nice.
Basilisk is the bomb. That first episode is ridiculous. The ninja, man, they were killing each other. It was hilarious. Um, I wouldn't say hilarious, but what else? What did you have on your list that we didn't get to today?
Um, right. Well, I had to Zodiac War.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that the first episode was great because it was like real quick. Zodiac War is about assassins who take on the Zodiac, and
Oh.
they're in this big tournament where they have to kill each other, and the winner of the tournament gets a. They all represent different countries. The winner of the tournament gets a wish. Whatever they want, whatever they wish for comes true.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to like think Twisted Metal, but less uh, trickster, devilish type of way.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's interesting about it is that it's a one-off series in the sense that it's only one season and it ends. And the first episode, they show you through the I guess the from the viewpoint of one of the characters, and you get her backstory and everything and all this other stuff, and you see her going into the tournament as one of the assassins, and she's really like she kills a lot of people, right, in terms of her backstory. And so you're thinking she's going to be the main character, or at the very least we're going to see uh, aspects of the story through her eyes because she's that it's focused on her mainly. But in the
Okay.
first episode, she dies,
Oh wow.
and like quickly, and then it ends, and then the next episode you see through the eyes of someone else, and it's like, wow, they just killed off potentially a main character super fast. Okay, now I have to watch this, and and
Yeah.
part of me is like is a little like let down because they have really good characters that they kill off, and
Yeah.
I would like to have seen more, but at the same time, it's refreshing to have something that begins and ends,
Yeah.
and it does so very quickly. So definitely check that out. And then another one is an older show. I actually saw it as a OVA, so I saw it all together as one, but they're actually split into 6 episodes. And this Aria Zerum the animation. It's a prequel to the Zerum, the live action film Zerum, where
Mm.
it's an alien that he has the ability to any weapon, any type of weapon, he can like grab it and it'll graft to his arm, and then he can use that weapon like professionally. And
Mm.
so he's extremely hard to kill, and Arya is a bounty hunter. Her brother is was like kind of like teaching her, and he gets attacked by Zerum. They actually bump into him as there's like a distress call, and they go into the ship, and like he gets loose, and it's like all hell breaks loose basically. But it's a solid show. OVA, definitely check that out, and the live action is really good too. Uh, for like live action, it's pretty sweet, but it's kung fu, space, cyberpunk, if you will. Like it's
Mhm.
pretty great, pretty great.
Yeah, we'll put that under we need to like list everything so people know we're like, okay, click on this.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
I was so excited to talk about Gunslinger Girl this week and never got to it. we'll have to do it another time, and it's still one of my faves. Just great starting. Like, definitely a great first episode. Music and all that kind of stuff. Again, another classical music, pull at your heartstrings type thing. Yeah, so we covered a lot. We didn't even talk about Rona for real, but we can always say that for another time. I'm sure it'll still be here next week, unfortunately.
Yes. um,
Rona.
so yeah, thanks for stopping by and listening again. Hopefully you liked the episode. Please subscribe and click the little bell so you know when the next episode comes up. Definitely go check out the website. A lot of reviews went up. Zombie Army 4, Dead War, Darksiders Genesis, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and Bubble Bobble for Friends, which is a new Bubble Bobble game for all the people that are remember that old classic. It actually came out or is coming out to the Switch on let's see March 31st. So it's not out yet. We actually got a code early, and the review went up. Got a good score. I'm not gonna say what it is because I need you to go check it out. It's on the
Yes.
website, unitedfrontgaming.com. We have all the links and such at the bottom underneath. When you hit the little read more button. So definitely check that out. You can follow me at Kenny UFG on Twitter, and you can follow Tess at Messy Tessie underscore Bakes on Instagram, and you can follow the website on Twitter at U underscore F underscore G.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for being with us. Thank you so much for being with us for this long of a period. We appreciate you guys, and we will see you next week. Bye.